Hi, it's Olivia, and I wanted to start a series called My Favorite Movies. Just in case you don't know, I haven't really done much movie content lately at all, but I love movies just as much as books. I'm a huge movie goer, and I feel I will talk about them whenever I want to. And specifically with this, what I hope to do is talk about just movies that don't come up in everyday conversation, you know, kind of just going about your current life. You kind of only talk about current movies, and same thing for books. We're all talking about, you know, the recent reads, or I don't know, but you don't really get the opportunity to fangirl and just blabber on about the movies and stuff that you liked from years ago. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to do that and just have some fun talking about some of my favorites. They won't be numbered in any order from, you know, number one favorite to least favorite. They are all movies that I love, and I'm just going to pick 5 for each video. So the first movie I'm going to pick is one that's a bit on the scarier side because Halloween is a few days away. And so for this one I have Jeepers Creepers 2. Jeepers Creepers 2, and specifically number 2. The first one is also good, but for some reason the second one is like the household favorite. Does anyone else have those movies that are household favorites that when it comes on TV you're all watching it together, or you all collectively know most of the words or what's gonna happen? It's just like a family, like when it comes on you guys all love it. That's one of those, and there's a lot, but that's one of them. Probably my favorite thing about the movies is that the way the creeper looks, he's just awesome. I love like really good looking makeup and stuff. Like I love the way his face looks, and I love the way just how he looks kind of slimy also, and he just looks great. He looks and I love how he looks. And there's this guy in town who has a truck that has amazing artwork of the creeper with its wings out, I think. It's the coolest thing. You can't tell, I'm just a huge fan of like really good looking makeup for like bizarre creatures and stuff, like with the creeper with Predator when he takes off his thing. Oh, I love how he looks. And then also, what else? What's the other, like, he's in like the same category kind of. Aliens, the James Cameron movies, the way the aliens look, I love that stuff. I don't know, I get so nerdy about it, but I love Jeepers Creepers too. This next one, and it might be a trend if in every one of these videos there is a Disney movie, because again, although I don't show it outwardly, I don't really have much to display of like my Disney love. I consider myself a massive Disney fan. I mean, I don't go to Disneyland all the time. I don't outwardly show it all the time, I feel like, and as opposed to some people, but it's there. The Disney love is hardcore. And so this movie is Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is one of those movies I truly can watch over and over again. It doesn't bore me even other movies that I love, like there's some things I wouldn't really just casually rewatch, you know? Like with TV shows. There's some TV shows I watch it once and I'm done with it. But like with The Office, I watched it once and I'll rewatch that forever. It's just it never fails to make me laugh and make me happy, and that's the same thing with Lilo and Stitch. It never fails to make me laugh. It is such a funny and sweet and just adorable movie, and it warms my heart, and the characters are all wonderful. Like Stitch is awesome, and just there's little things throughout the movie that kill me. There's a moment when Bubbles comes over to check up on Nani and Lilo, and they have Stitch already, and he opens a door and Stitch is kind of just standing there for a second, and then just chucks the book at him, and Bubbles' glasses like come off, and it's just every time I see that part I just die laughing. When I'm like taking a really long time to do my hair, I'm watching Lilo and Stitch. It's just I could watch that forever. Also, the soundtrack to Lilo and Stitch is amazing, but then again, it's a Disney movie, so that's kind of a given. Next movie is one I think is so underrated, it kills me, because it was just so good. It was one of those movies where it came out, not too many people went to see it, but I did. I saw it by myself. It's The Source Code but with Jake Gyllenhaal and someone else who I forgot the name of. I'll point out really quickly that Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorites. The premise of The Source Code is that they have this character who died in an explosion on a train, so someone bombed the train in Chicago, and they have this source code program that is able to hook up to him or not him, well yeah, him, like the person who died who was on the train, and they're able to take this other guy who I forgot something. Somehow they're able to use a system where they go back into the last 8 minutes before the train blew up, and they keep sending him back in there to try and find out who bombed the train, because the same person who bombed the train is going to bomb the city, so it's urgent that they find him immediately so that way they can stop the entire city from being blown. And you guys, it's just so good, and I think the ending might be kind of trippy, and it's one of those things where it kind of can confuse people. My mom was confused, and I don't even know if I still have a certain answer, because it's kind of, it's hard, I don't know, I'm not even sure if I understand what the ending meant, like how it makes sense into things, but I loved it, and the whole movie was just so good, and no one talks about it. The next movie that I have is, if like someone were to ask me what's my favorite movie, or the movie that you've loved for the longest, whatever it is, it's hard to pick a favorite movie of all time, but this always comes to mind first. That movie is The Wizard of Oz. Also, I just realized, like, isn't it amazing how many movies are just like on streaming services? Like, I don't have DVDs for all these movies. I know some people have like collections, like I have bookshelves. I would like that. I would like a library that has a big collection of books and a big collection of movies, but they're both expensive, so anyway, on to what I was talking about. The Wizard of Oz. Oh, I have grown up with this movie. This movie, obviously, it's extremely old. It came out in 1939, but Judy Garland just is wonderful in here, and again, the costume on them, I love how, like, the Scarecrow's face looks, the Lion, the Tin Man, I love their makeup and costume. This is one of those movies you don't want to watch with me, because this and Lilo and Stitch, I'm not exaggerating, like, I know it word for word because I've seen it that much. And when you see it enough, you just know everything. I used to be scared of the witch. I used to, like, really scared when I was little. But now the witch is not scary. That wasn't very interesting. It's such a classic. This is a 70th anniversary edition. You cannot go wrong with The Wizard of Oz. This last movie I have, some of you might disagree entirely, because the Rotten Tomatoes score certainly disagrees. Let me say something about that real quick. I think, for the most part, I actually agree with the Rotten Tomatoes scores for movies, but then sometimes I just don't care about them at all. A prime example of where I don't care about the Rotten Tomatoes score is with Transformers. Yes, the Michael Bay Transformers live action movies. I love them, minus the fourth one. As soon as Shia LaBeouf left, I thought it went downhill from there. But numbers 1, 2, and 3, but specifically 1, that's the one I'm going to talk about here. I think number 1 is the best, followed by 3, and then number 2, and then I don't care about the other ones. Because one of the best parts to me about Transformers is Shia LaBeouf. I think he is hysterical. And not only Shia LaBeouf, but the Transformers themselves are so funny in this movie. I think this was, like I said, this was the best, I think, of the entire series of the live action movies. But like in particular, there's a scene where all the Autobots are trying to hide at his house while Sam is trying to look for his glasses, and it's so funny. There's these giant robots trying to hide outside of someone's house. I can completely recognize that the plot, the writing is awful, especially after this movie. The plot just starts to not make sense. There's this hilarious YouTube channel called How It Should Have Ended, and they have one for Transformers 2, and not only does it make fun of like a better way it could have ended, but it makes fun of all the plot holes and stuff in a movie, and they did that for Transformers 2, and it's awesome because there's some things that make zero sense in this movie and all the further movies, but I don't care. They're just so enjoyable to me. I feel like, especially with this movie and the third movie, well, the first 3 movies really broke ground with special effects, because they look amazing. The special effects just blow my mind, and the other best part of these movies is the soundtrack. If anyone is ever like, oh, I need a soundtrack that will kind of pump me up and get me all into, I don't know, just the soundtrack for Transformers is gold by Steve Jablonsky. I listen to the music all the time. That's where I'm going to end this. I'm sure I've talked for quite a while now, but I'm excited to continue this so I get the chance to just talk about some of my favorite stuff that don't get talked about in just present time. So if you have any thoughts at all on any of these movies, I will happily talk about them with you. So leave a comment, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.